Hello team, welcome back to another Line Warcast. We have a 3v3 game today. Alpha team against Bravo team. Alpha team has the Zorro in blue, aka in red, Notorious Nubs in orange, and for Bravo team, someone said that my nickname sucks, in teal, Banshee in pink, and Wyan in the green. It looks like Alpha team is going to be spawning on the right hand side of the map. You can get a better idea for what the map is. A lot of land in the bottom right, a bunch of ocean that will definitely come into play here. Bravo team looks like they are going to prefer to go on the left side of the map, and we can see that the midpoint was picked by both teams, so neither team can go there at this point. So we'll see who spawns closest and like how long until contact's made between the two teams. It might be a little while depending on the spawns here. If all of Alpha team goes on the right hand side and all of Bravo team goes on the left hand side. We can see that Notorious Nubs is in orange in the bottom here. The Zorro in blue on the far right, and AKA in red to the north. Nickname spawned in the little middle island, going 2 docks and a quick town. Banshee's got a town and a port going, another town and a port going, so this is actually a trade route. So Banshee's income will skyrocket in a little bit. Town and 3 industries and a barracks, quick refinery from Wyan. Nickname doesn't have, well, Nickname actually has 1 gas. That's not true. So third and fourth dock for Nickname. A lot of boats are going to be important on this map just because of the size of the water. But it'll be interesting to see now in this situation if Alpha Team could just cap this central part of the map and then box in Wyan here, who's going for 3 more, 1 more barracks, no, two more factories, pardon me, after that first barracks. Banshee's got a dock that's going to start sending units across. That's a good call. Talking about that aforementioned problem where if Alpha Team gets all of this economy just for free, I'm not sure, even with the trade route, which is super good for econ for Bravo Team, I'd assume Alpha Team would have more economy at that point. Zero's going for a city here with 2 more factories on the way. Nub's going for 3 factories, all artillery at this point. We can check the gas situation. It really looks like AK is the only one who has gas anywhere close to them. Because the other gas is here. I mean, it's a very central gas location. There's 3 geysers at this point that Nubs will probably just get for free. Because I don't think Wine can contest that at all. 2 cruisers on the way for AKA. And the first gas for Alpha Team. Nicknames 4 docks, not really sure what these are building. I don't have the vision on. I'm not going to try to switch it. But it's probably going to be some assortment of Navy units. And just, I mean, with 4 docks, you can get a wild number of boats. Combination of probably cruisers and even destroyers and missile boats. AK can go for a city here. We'll see how quick that happens. This city would be relatively vulnerable because of Nickname's impending like huge navy that could just roll up and snipe this from the water. But presumably if AK can actually get enough boats up and even potentially some artillery dug in, it'd be a pretty fortified position. With enough boats, Nickname would be able to just overpower it. So we'll have to keep an eye on what goes on there and if it even turns into a city relatively quick. Another barracks for Zero and AK who are now linking up in this northern part of the choke here. And another barracks for Zorro, which I really like. Trade route is now up for Banshee. And gas sharing going on. This is a team game mechanic, so I assume what is happening is Banshee's probably going to build even another refinery here and just feed gas to Nickname. Because 4 boats is going to be a lot. That definitely requires a lot of gas. Nickname's going to the top right at this point, which might be a launching ground for like a mainland invasion here. Transport boat and a bunch of infantry can be the most slippery unit in the game. And Wine's going tanks, which tanks could also make a lot of sense because this is relatively open field. And if Alpha Team starts building refineries here, the tanks could just drive up and destroy them. I mean, tanks are great in open field. They don't have to go through any mountains. I suppose if they're trying to go closer to Nubs' base, they'll have to go through the forest at some point, but that's a problem that can be dealt with later. This is a city from AKA who's followed up with a third dock. Both great calls. Destroyers, 2 cruisers for nickname. And Banshee's got some missile boats on the way as well. 2 more industry for Banshee, 3 more industry, pardon me, for Banshee, who certainly has a huge economy at this point. And what's nice for wine is that there's actually another gas down here. As we sort of suspected, because Alpha Team is fully on the right-hand side and Bravo Team is pretty much on the left, it's still a little bit of build-up. And probably still a little bit of time before both teams start actively engaging. 2 cruisers and a missile boat for nickname. If it were to take like a fight against 2 cruisers of AK, in theory, nickname does win that fight, although it'd be close. And Wine started to make their way up to the choke here. It'll be interesting to see how much success Wine gets if they decide to go past this point. Because presumably they're then going to run into 3 armies. Well, I mean, I guess it's just like 4 infantry for red, but certainly the full army of orange and the full army of blue. Zora's now got 3 factories. 3 factories for nubs. It'll be quite a powerful land army. AK is going for a town here, probably a port, and this is exactly this mainland drop that Nickname's going to go for. Perfectly defended. Inadvertently, I'd assume, from AK. Actually, AK might see this. There might be just enough vision to see that transport boat. 2nd refinery for Banshee, and 2 more towns as well. Nickname's only on 1 gas. I mean, by proxy, Nickname's on 3 gases, or about to be 3 gases, so that should be enough to move all these boats. And Nickname's now going everywhere with this navy. So besides, I mean, in general, we're going to expect that Bravo Team is going to have the naval advantage. This is an unfortunate landing zone for these units. I don't know if Nickname will continue to do so. Yeah, so one infantry will go home. These 3 are left, unfortunately. Oh, in fact, there's actually just going to be a full evacuation here. So all 3 oh, no, never mind. Pardon me. No, the 4th one is just dropped off. I mean, with 4 other infantry showing up, I mean, I think it's still outnumbered. Yeah, so the 3 infantry are going to get out here. Just hop into the boat. I believe that's a depot for Zorro. Yes, it is right here. 2 refineries for Bravo, or Alpha Team, part of me, are now hooked up. Gas sharing is really cool in team games. We can see, like, you know, the pipelines between refineries and the pipelines between depots. The different ways the teams can share energy in this game. The factory for Banshee is in a great spot. With Nickname's navy, and this being such a small choke, it'll be difficult without an overwhelming number of units for Alpha Team to push through this choke effectively. And I think AK has got to be a little bit careful, because there's 4 cruisers up in the north, which is great. This is going to be shut down as well from AK, but if these docks, a 4th one on the way, if they're left alone, then Nickname and Banshee might be able to swoop in here and at least take out a dock. 2nd factory from Banshee makes a lot of sense, probably on a great economy, going for the city here. There's another city that Banshee can get, so Banshee might be on 2 cities and a trade route relatively soon. A 5th dock from AK, which I really like, because this navy for Bravo Team is starting to look a little bit scary. 2 missile boats, 2 cruisers, or 3 missile boats and 2 cruisers for Alpha Team, but to take on 2 missile boats and a cruiser for AKA. The only good thing for AKA is that there's probably, I mean, these 2 cruisers are about to finish in the bottom docks. Good micro from both players to try to get the transport boat out, and then also for AK to follow that transport boat with the cruiser and make sure that it does go down. This town is most certainly going to fall. The 4 cruisers are going to get there, but not quite in time, and this is the most important thing that we need to look out for. We heard that Zorro is gone for an airport. That's what those jet noises were. I don't know if that's the first airport for Alpha Team? Probably. And while this is happening, we'll go big picture. Alpha Team has decided to try to push through this choke. There's a decent number of artillery here, and the artillery will trade decent against the boats. Town goes down, Nickname's able to take that away from AKA, who will likely just send these cruisers back down to the docks because there's gonna need to be help here. 2 cruisers and 1 missile boat's left for Bravo Team. Another missile boat out for AK. I think it's really these cruisers, as long as they finish in time. And these 4 cruisers show up for AK, the damage should be relatively minimal. This is a great position that Nubs could dig in here. I mean, if the push wasn't on, I mean, it's naturally like a great defensive zone for this proxy base that Banshee is setting up that now has 3 factories, so it's a quite sizable investment. The airports are super forward for Zoro, which I like because they're gonna, I mean, these buildings are definitely in range of whatever planes come out of these airports. We can see the cruisers for Teal doing work. 3 tanks for Pink, so it's a decent amount of stuff, but hard to tell how that's gonna go. There's another fight that I'm not even paying attention to. Wyon's going for the push. It's kind of nice because this forces Orange and Blue to send some units down to the south and not all the units up to the north here, which has allowed these tanks to have as much success as they are with the help of the boats. We gotta go back. This was definitely defended. Town goes back up, but it's gonna get taken out again by a destroyer and a missile boat. I guess 1 dock was lost. So those boats definitely sniped one of the docks. I need to start hurrying up. There's so much going on in 3v3s and team games in general. Super wild. More tanks coming in for Wyan. He was going for the defensive line. Unfortunately, it's backwards. If I had a nickel for every time I did that. So let's see if Wyan corrects that. I mean, with all those tanks, this many tanks I think could actually just take all this. As long as they fight in the open, and Wyan has the gas to support this, which it definitely looks like Green does. Banshee's now digging in, probably the right call. There's a lot of units here. The problem for Banshee will maybe be the planes, but that being said, Nickname has 4 missile boats, which is a decent amount. AK is now out of gas. Are there any more gas geysers? I guess, yeah, Nubs is about to take a second gas here and connect it, so that's obviously energy sharing with AK to get those cruisers moving. They're so energy intensive. Wine's going for more factories, and this is a great front to open for Bravo Team, because it gives Banshee time to dig in here. And I think, in fact, this many tanks is just going to be able to take this much artillery. If they keep dropping at this rate, probably not. I guess they were all relatively low health. I mean, who cares, you know? Sometimes I guess what's going to happen. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. 3 cruisers from AKA. There's only 2 cruisers for Nickname, but there's so many other boats. The 4th cruiser now pops for Red, which is great. There's 2 strikers now for the Zoro. It's not really enough to really help out anywhere at this point, because there's 2 SAMs in the mountains, and there's enough missile boats here that even if 2 strikers came in, I mean, they might be able to help. AK is doing decent here, I think. I mean, some of these boats for Teal are attacking the dock instead of attacking the Navy. But still, I mean, as long as AK can get these boats here in time, AK won't need any help. But if those cruisers weren't there, or if they can't move, that would be a hard thing to defend. We can see that there's a lot of action going up here. AK is starting to take back these 2 islands, and in fact has. 3 cruisers now for Red. This Navy for Nickname will go down. Maybe one of the docks gets snipes. Not really sure. 3 strikers at this point. 3 strikers taking on a SAM in the mountains is I think, a lot better in general, and they all get home, which is huge. And yeah, Wine's able to push. Wine's definitely able to push here. Banshee's got 2 airports. These are going to be in range of this action at the choke. Pink can also make an airstrip here to get the strikers forward, and Nickname's now got an airport. And I think in a lot of ways, this is looking great for Bravo team right now. Good pickup from AKA on these boats. 4 strikers for blue, and the great thing for Alpha team is that there's no SAMs with Wyan's army, and there's no missile boats either, so these strikers could find a lot of damage in the south. 3 pink strikers are going to be able to hit this artillery. This is going to help the push a lot. Then the 4 strikers for blue are going to be able to essentially negate all that damage in a lot of ways, because they're going to get quite a few units. Naval positioning becomes wildly important here. And this is unfortunate for blue. It's 3 missile boats, and missile boats are going to shred these strikers. Definitely one of them will go down. I can't imagine one of them that gets out. Yeah, okay, so one goes down. The second one might get out, unless, there we go. Okay, I lied. It can take one more, apparently. Landing from Nickname here, this is gonna work because there's 3 infantry, and they should outnumber these two red infantry. This transport boat is gonna come in clutch, because AK is gonna have to deal with it, and there's not that much production to deal with a landing like this. Okay, we can go big picture because I'm obviously just missing a lot of stuff. Wine's now pushed into almost the point of these energy reserves. And the strikers for blue are going down to the south. That's going to be a huge break for Nubs, who definitely is going to need the help down there. There's no missile boats, unfortunately. There's one rather for AKA. It's a tough spot for AKA because if AKA doesn't go for cruisers here, then they would just lose the Navy fight. Whatever cruiser you make isn't a missile boat to deal with 4 strikers. The best thing that could happen for Alpha Team, I think, is if they can break through and get rid of Banshee from this little peninsula. 5 strikers at this point, it's great, and Nubs has a striker here as well. Not really sure how full the airports are. 2 new fresh airports for Nubs in the back. And over time, as long as blue can keep the striker count, that could be a huge advantage. Transport jets for Nickname, who's going to start turning this up in earnest, I think. The pressure on this landing, and these transport boats can land on anything here. I mean, they could land directly on the city. Here comes a big naval battle. This really matters. Nickname is out of gas. Whenever we see the black plumes of smoke on the boats, it means they take extra damage over the next 5 seconds. And so I think with the number of cruisers that AK has, it should be a decent fight for red. It could even be a cleanup here because this 5th cruiser is showing up. Looking relatively sketchy in the south for Alpha Team, but the strikers may be just enough to turn this in Alpha Team's favor. 3 artillery pieces doing work on the refinery, dealing with these tanks that have made a little bit of a breakthrough, but I think this is going to start getting turned back. Wine's going for a super aggressive factory to keep the pressure up, which is super helpful for the other teammates on Bravo Team. Huge amount of artillery here that are fighting Duggan artillery for pink, so I mean this is going to buy a lot of time for Banshee, especially with these 2 cruisers here that can take on the artillery. What a game. I still think it's I think just based on the amount of the map that both teams have, it might even be relatively close on Eco. Maybe a slight edge to Bravo Team would be my best guess. A lot of posturing in the middle. Nicknames now, or pardon me, AK now has like 8 docks here on the left-hand side, but look at all these planes that Banshee's able to build at this point. 1 full flower of SAMs for the Zorro in the mountains. If the planes get too close to this would be great. It's nice having the SAMs in the mountains because of the stealth bonus that units get by being in the mountains. But it's a tough spot for the blue SAMs because if they dig in this mountain range, they can't really defend this land force that's trying to get through the barricade, or the defensive line, pardon me. So the SAM coverage here is an interesting question because if Banshee can keep using those strikers effectively, big bonus for Bravo Team. This is now a huge amount of artillery for Nubs. So many tanks at home for Wine though. Another city for Banshee, that's been done for a while. This little flag on the airstrip means that the airstrip can be shared with allies. So if Banshee can reach it, which Banshee definitely can, this will open up another angle for these pink strikers to be able to hit. 4 commandos for nickname. I guess these transport jets are just dropping right here. And it can be super annoying to deal with the multi-prong. It's a tough thing. I mean, AK is going to have to stay on top of it. Zoro's potentially going to have to help out. I mean, Nubs could maybe reach with the planes. In the north, AK has these 2 islands, which is good. This little navy from nickname is going to try to cause a lot of havoc up here, and they might do decent because there is a cruiser with this. And this position still becomes like a push and pull situation. At this point now, with the 6 factories on the ground, Banshee has a sizable army. And unfortunately for Wine, some of these tanks are going through the mountains, and they move so slowly, and that just allows these artillery pieces to get way more shots off before they're in any danger. Same goes with the infantry. What a fight. A rocket might make a lot of sense here for Alpha Team to rocket this position. I don't know if either teams are thinking about it. It's a great way to kind of break that stalemate. We can see that these 5 pink strikers are on nickname's airstrip, and that's going to be devastating. The strikers can hit this port, they can hit the town, as long as they don't run into all these missile boats. And the naval buildup over time is, Red is going to have a bigger navy. Because it's 8 docks against, what is it, like the 5, kind of 6 for Bravo Team? For Bravo Team, dealing with this artillery blob is going to be an interesting question. This will be a tough thing to defend. I mean, Wine has a ton of tanks, but this is such an amount of artillery that without a ton of, like, an almost equal number of tanks, I don't know, the tanks have to be able to get on top of this artillery when they're unsieged, is really what it comes down to. I think it's a tricky situation in the south for Wine. Here comes these 4 transport planes. The Basantos base drop, as it's known in the chat, in Twitch chat, in the stream. And this is going to take out this city. I mean, it's a huge amount of damage output. Great reaction time from Nubs and AKA and coordination probably to notice these planes, but I'm not really sure it's going to be in time. This is a big question in this game. This is a lot of economy. With like to be about 8 strikers at this point, maybe this city is going to live. There's 1 cruiser that's also firing. And I think the city will actually stay standing. Nickname's going for a big flank around to the north, knowing that this position can't really be attacked. This is great. The first volley for Nickname actually has more of a concave, so I think more of Teal's boats are firing than Red's, but it is a lot of Red boats. Okay, so strikers can actually reach this for Banshee, which is huge. So the strikers are going to do a ton of work on this artillery. We can kind of big picture it. Huge navy fight in the north. This choke point is still relatively static. And Wine's going to be able to defend this with the planes. I think if not for this sortie of pink planes, but maybe the next one. Wild naval fight. Both teams have the gas to be able to keep moving these boats and positioning them. Teal is running away at this point. And a lot of planes for Blue, and there's not many missile boats left, so the planes are going to be able to get at least 2 cruisers, as we just saw here. And AK can probably keep pushing. 2 missile boats for Teal that have now just shown up. If the strikers were to target them immediately, they might be able to kill them, but they're going to go home now. They're done their run. So many missile boats for Red, though, are going to take out all these pink strikers. And now with this many boats, AK could probably snipe the airport, even go to the docks, potentially. Great defense from Bravo Team here with the strikers, and here comes this counter push, and this is very scary. Nubs is going to have to defend this. There's a city here as well. If this position falls, then I think the game would slowly come to a close. But at the same time, I mean, this is a lot of Navy. This is a huge win for Alpha Team here. If Alpha Team can stabilize in the south and defend this bush, they might be in pretty good shape depending on how much damage these boats do, because these boats can hit the airport, and that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, they're going to take out a bunch of transport jets. Landing from Nickname, the multitask. They might be able to take out that town. Banshee's got 4 cruisers here to help out, but it's still so many boats from Red. He's been powering up on 8 docks. There's only a handful of SAMs. When I say a handful, there looks to only be 1 SAM for Zoro in the south, and this is exactly what I'm setting up for, or pardon me, for Wine in the south, because Zoro can just send 2 airports full of strikers at this. Town does go down, so as does the port. That's a lot of income for AK to lose. I mean, not a ton, but it is something. And with the help of the strikers, I think Wine's gonna get stopped here. Tough assignment for the infantry running into all these defensive lines of artillery. Nickname's gonna lose. I mean, maybe lose the north, I guess. Like, there are planes here. And there's no missile boats for Red. But I think with this many cruisers, the gas can probably just get sniped. Here comes the big play. AK is going to try to get some of these units from the defensive line shooting at these boats. Or at least they can't keep reinforcing this defensive line if you're Pink, because they're attacking this Red Navy. And I think a lot of Pink's production is definitely at risk here, because if Red Navy wins this fight decisively, then Red can just start picking out buildings. Huge team fight here. A bunch of Red cruisers against a bunch of Red or Pink and Teal cruisers. I think with between Banshee and Nickname, there's actually more cruisers here for Bravo Team than there are Alpha Team. These cruisers are now in trouble because these strikers are going to have a field day here. There's no missile boats to stop them. Or there's one, rather, but I think it's about to fall relatively quick. We'll see if one striker goes down. Not even. Still a tough choke to get through. What a fight in the south. Great tank flank from Wyan. Unfortunately, it's about to go through the mountains, but if it could have got around undetected, I mean, it's a great idea. Look at how low Alpha Team is on gas here. Power plants from AK, a bunch of them, to keep sustaining this Navy. Part of me kind of missed that, but the gas goes down for Nickname. These cruisers are now definitely in range of all of these strikers for Banshee. Maybe at this point, AK is just going to try to snipe this town. Or the city, pardon me. The north is still relatively stable. There's one boat for Nickname in the top. I don't think it's super going to matter. This push is kind of fizzling out, and Zoro's now starting to target the factory with the planes. What's the plan here? A lot of cruisers for Nickname that are coming back to defend, but if these red cruisers are just clicking on the city, it might just be enough to get rid of this. Great use of the boats from both Banshee and Nickname to coordinate here for this defense. It's a very cool thing to see in team games. What a mess. What an absolute mess on this peninsula. 4 cruisers taking on some artillery and 3 cruisers, now 2 cruisers for Pink. It's just such a blob. I think slowly over time this is just going to work for Blue based on the amount of units here. It's so many SAMs. These strikers might run into some trouble trying to attack the peninsula because of the 2 flowers of SAMs. And Wine's got a little bit of a problem in the south, because that could turn into a tough defense. So this is however many strikers. Zoro sees it now and sends planes home. 4 of them, I think, go down there. And Nubs' strikers are going to try their luck next. But 8 docks for Red just replenish this Navy so quickly. City doesn't go down. The cruisers got taken out for red. But when it comes to momentum, I think it's definitely in Alpha Team's favor at this point. It's hard to land on this mainland anymore. If you're Bravo Team. Nubs is out of gas, so there won't be many planes sent here for now, which is really good for Wine, but Wine's gonna need those Banshee Strikers again, and that's exactly what's about to happen. I mean, Banshee keeps replenishing, pardon me, this defensive line, so there's still artillery here. It's still buying a lot of time. It's really just this, unfortunately, now. It's this Navy. Nickname doesn't quite have enough boats. Three cruisers, unfortunately, not going to be able to take this on. It's a good idea on the airstrip. Getting the planes closer for Banshee would have been a huge win, but that's just 8 docks. And the gas to run them. 6 cruisers could do a ton of damage here. They definitely could take this Navy on and then also destroy the town and even push to the dock. But this is an enormous problem. The airstrip goes down. There are actually 4 strikers on it, unfortunately. For Banshee, the timing on them, just super unlucky. Because those planes probably just transferred there the second the airstrip was done. And this is finally starting to crumble. When the Navy goes down for Bravo Team, then Red's Navy just pushes to these docks. And on a map that naval control is so big. And this seems legitimately unstoppable. And at this point, to stop this, I think Wyan needs a rocket. And Wyan doesn't have it, unfortunately. Yeah, that's a lot of artillery. One heck of a game, folks. This is team games in Line War. This is what it's all about. Hectic as all hell. I don't know if this video is gonna come out. Like when this video is released, team games might actually be officially released. I'm not saying when that is. I don't know when it is, but it's close, folks, and we're excited. Banshee's out of the game. Nickname's also done. Well played. GG, all 6 of the players. We can look at the graphs. I've been told to look at the graphs a little bit more. Relatively close game on the incomes. I mean, it tracked all the way until I don't know what minute this was. And energy-wise, both teams kept it going. Very cool. Folks, I hope you have a great night, day, evening, whatever it is. Happy holidays, whatever you're celebrating. We'll see you soon. Peace.